Hello and welcome to With the Braintrust. We are nearing almost the end of our networking session, and we found that with all of us, we've all sort of been figuring out summer mode. It's kind of something that you can plan on it all you want, but once it finally becomes here, and once it finally gets here, it's a whole other perspective and a whole other way for you to deal and juggle with all the stuff that you're dealing with. So I want to introduce everybody really quick before we discuss on how to stay focused when you're also supposed to be relaxed and when business as usual changes. So let's start with one sentence intros, please. David.
Hi, I'm David with I Am Your Virtual Professional, virtually growing your business.
You, Andy.
Hi, Andy Nathan, Career Smart Contractors, taking your property from meh to wow.
Lita.
Hi, Lita Buntings, Nimca Creations, digital photo organizer. I help you spend time making memories instead of managing them.
Thank you. And Jenny.
Jenny Kanzioka, graphic designer and artist. I help my clients communicate who they are, what they do, and how they can help their clients.
I'm Mike Rattay, Bald Brain Creative, imaginative photos and video to share your story. And so, yeah, let's jump right into summer mode. Does anyone want to take it away?
Summer's a challenge. I other than the fact that I still have kids that are on the school cycle. So when that routine stops, everything just kind of, and like you said in the intro, no matter how much we plan for it, it still disrupts life. So that's on the home front, but then on the client side, clients are traveling, you can't get answers. So you just have to be very fluid. And I think that's just the challenge. I do like structure and routine. So September through May is my happy time. Although I love summer.
September through May and December is a little chaotic. That's almost another rest mode or summer mode, winter mode. No, I totally agree. Anyone else?
I think it's no matter how well you plan, you kind of have to plan that come summertime, your business is going to slow down for various reasons, depending on whether it's a seasonal business that just doesn't have that season, or whether your clients are on vacation. You're going to be waiting for answers. And it's just, you kind of build it in. I know that what I used to do when I had my brick and mortar and summer was my slow point, that was my time where I took that 2 months to do work for the next 10 months. And I use that to work in the business as opposed to, or work on the business as opposed to in the business. I use the time to research new products, come up with new marketing initiatives. And I always used to look at summer as though it was a downtime, which it really was. It was a great time to put new things into action. And it was a great time to push out new initiatives and to create marketing materials for several months out. And,
and you mentioned that I think, brick and mortar, I mean, that's obviously a whole other story than us that are mostly, I don't want to say remote. I mean, obviously my stuff is in person. I think a lot of us do stuff in person, but it's important we're lucky right now, right, with the technology. And so there are things that we can do while we're at the beach or what have you. But yeah, that's a great statement about planning and just making sure the list can keep growing longer, but as long as you held on to that list, you can always address it in a couple of weeks, right? So
I'm working on that right now, where I'm working on trying to build out 3 landing pages along with video material to go with them to hopefully find, to drive traffic to my website.
Right.
While it's slow.
Andy, Jenny?
My business is usually kind of up and down over the year. Summer, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm busy now. I'm doing an annual report. I'm rebranding somebody, working on the cover for the rehearsal schedule for the symphony. And I'm also expecting a convention guide that I'm going to be working on that'll be happening in Chicago. But once I quit working at 5 o'clock, I'm starting to plan stuff for the craft fairs I'm going to be doing. I've got one in Harwood Heights, one at the Grove in Glenview, and hopefully one in July at the dance studio on Sheridan Road. So I can bring stuff like that down with me when I go to watch the news and work on that. So I'm always doing something. It probably drives Bill crazy, but but I'm always doing something for art
Better
because
to
art
keep
is very important.
better to keep busy.
Yes.
Go ahead,
So
Nate.
it's kind of funny. When I used to do digital marketing, this would generally be the downtime, and I'm thinking about what you guys are talking about because, like, yeah, this is when I would start getting just writing extra blog posts for myself. This is when I'd start doing more on social media. Maybe I'd come up with another program to make some cash in the summer. But the contractor business, it's opposite, obviously, because people right now, it's madhouse. People are realizing, oh, it's summer and now we need to do all these projects. So like just on Friday alone, Friday afternoon, I got 4 new leads in the afternoon in the span of about an hour. Like normally do not get that many leads in an hour. So like the just trying to keep up with it all has been kind of crazy. But I know that like when it was in the spring and in winter, it was slow. We had some longer projects which was holding us over, but it was definitely a little bit slower. And I know a lot of my guys are having the same problem. Like we're having issues right now with our guys having too many projects. Like one of our electricians is 2 months out. So I think like I don't get this. The summer is also kind of crazy because with family and everything you don't get the same ability to do work on the weekends. Like during the winter, a lot of people just go into hibernation mode. And I know, like, you could I could probably spend half a day just getting some extra work out of the way on like a Saturday or Sunday. A lot of weekends during the summer, you just don't get that freedom because, someone like my daughter's birthday is this weekend and
Happy
you're doing
birthday.
that stuff. So, and I'm sure everyone has probably experienced that where you just like every weekend it feels like there's something going on in summer. And I know every weekend every year my wife and I say we're gonna go out for summer. By the time we're done with all the birthday parties and everything else, it's August and it's too late to plan something.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up. But that's interesting though, because you obviously mentioned I think that's the other thing to notice about cycles and timing is that obviously what Lita and I and a little bit of David are talking about is clearly different for you. And so
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's important to keep that going. I think you're mentioned it as far as extra blog posts. That's time to kind of catch up on some of those things that you normally wouldn't do for yourself. Like David mentioned, work on the business instead of actually in it. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's key.
I pull time aside every July. I mean, I volunteer at a camp every summer, but within that, I take 2, 3 days to like sit and do a lot of business planning. I just got an email from one of the organizations I'm a part of. They're doing a big like birthday celebration during the summer to kind of and doing a sales. So they're going to be promoting some of their digital content because they also are their businesses like ours. So why not drum up business by throwing a sale? So it's like our businesses kind of have to ebb and flow, and we don't follow, the construction world. But Andy's slower in the winter. We're busier in the winter because we're all, working on our computers. So it's just a matter of figuring out what works for us and taking that time to plan and, do a company retreat, even if it's a company of one. You go and you do that retreat to build, work on your business, not in your business. Like David said, that was perfect.
I never liked fall until I was doing digital marketing. Because
Yeah.
like the moment it got cold, you got more calls.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's the other main thing about like cycles, and right. So if it's our first year doing it, and then you see summer drop, it can be very scary. But if you're aware that like it is a seasonal thing, I think as we all sort of said, planning, starting your lists. I think the company retreat, all of those things are I think great ideas because then you can at least brain dump everything that you're thinking about. So maybe you don't have the time to do it during summer, but once you do have more time to actually focus on your stuff, then at least then you do it, right?
For sure.
I mean, I think that's it. I mean, it's important to enjoy ourselves too, right? Because otherwise you just get burnt out. So I think it's important to actually respect summer mode and these times that are like slow, as long as it doesn't make you pull your hair out, because we all need to recharge, right? So yeah, does anyone have any sort of final thoughts on how to navigate that, or just planning and just plan?
Just plan.
I used to get really nervous about, being slow. And then at some point I just realized, well, I could do other things in the meantime. So I don't let that bother me anymore.
See, so that's time too. So it's a different perspective, and you're like, you know what, now is when I just focus on what I need, and that's where it is. So yeah. So any other final thoughts? No. Yeah.
Enjoy the sun, and don't forget to put a sunscreen on.
That's the other.
Oh yeah.
Very important. Well, good. So yeah, that was a quick one. It's always business until it's not. So, but it's still important to plan ahead, to plan what you're doing, to take notes of what you're doing. I also found, this is another thing, but you get all the, I think all your topics and your good ideas come when you're not even focusing on your business. So I think that's another important thing about rest, is because once you're able to pay attention to something else, then the solution to your original problem comes to the head. So I think that's very important. That's why we should look at rest. So, all right, well, bye everybody. Thanks everyone for the quick episode.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.